The sexy bombshell, Brigitte Bardot, was born, Brigitte Anne-Marie Bardot, on September 28, 1934, in Paris, France. She was a French actress, model, and singer, who later became an animal rights activist. From 1962 to 1973, Brigitte Bardot has appeared in 47 movies, most of which were French films. She has also sang on 5 music albums, and has written 5 books. Brigitte Bardot was nominated for a few awards, and won some of them, including being nominated for 1 BAFTA award. However, she was never nominated for an Academy Award, or for a Golden Globe Award. She is famous for portraying sexually emancipated characters, with hedonistic lifestyles. Miss Bardot was one of the best-known sex symbols of the late 1950s and 1960s. Although she withdrew from the entertainment industry in 1973, she remains a major popular culture icon. Miss Bardot has married 4 times. She was first married to French screenwriter, film director and producer, Roger Vadim. They were married from 1952 to 1957. Her second husband was the French actor and film producer, Jacques Charrier. They were married from 1959 to 1962. Her third husband was German photographer, Gunter Sachs. They were married from 1966 to 1969. Miss Bardot has been married to her 4th husband, South American businessman, Bernard Dormalet, since 1992, and they are still currently married to each other. Brigitte Bardot was born on September 28, 1934, to Louis Bardot and Anne-Marie Mussel. Miss Bardot's father was an engineer, and the proprietor of several industrial factories in Paris. Her mother was the daughter of an insurance company director. She and her younger sister grew up in a conservative Catholic family. Brigitte suffered from amblyopia as a child, which resulted in decreased vision of her left eye. During World War II, when Paris was occupied by Nazi Germany, Miss Bardot spent more time at home, due to increasingly strict civilian surveillance. She became engrossed in dancing to records, which her mother saw as a potential for a ballet career. At age 7, Brigitte Bardot was admitted to the private school, Cours Hattemer. She went to school 3 days a week, which gave her ample time to take dance lessons at a local studio, under her mother's arrangements. In 1949, Miss Bardot was accepted at the Conservatoire de Paris. For 3 years, she attended ballet classes, held by Russian choreographer, Boris Nyazev. She also studied at the Institut de la Tour, a private Catholic high school near her home. Beautiful and graceful, Miss Bardot began modeling as a teenager. At age 15, she appeared on the cover of Elle magazine, in 1950. She auditioned for a part in the film project, Les Lauriers sont coupés. Her parents were opposed to her becoming an actress, but her grandfather was supportive, and convinced him otherwise. At the audition, Miss Bardot met Roger Vadim, who, despite her parents' objections, would marry in a couple of years, and become her first husband. By the way, the film, Les Lauriers sont coupés, ended up not being made. Miss Bardot again appeared on the cover of Elle magazine, in 1952. Brigitte Bardot then made her film debut, in the 1952 French comedy film, Le Trou Normand, whose English title was Crazy for Love. At the time, she was paid 200,000 French francs, for her small role portraying a cousin of the main character. She was well liked by the audience, who were taken in by her captivating beauty, and she was soon flooded with more film offers. Her second film role was in the 1953 French film, Menina, the Girl in the Bikini. Also in 1953, Miss Bardot starred in the 2 French comedy films, The Long Teeth, and His Father's Portrait. Likewise, during the rest of the 1950s, Miss Bardot would mostly appear in light romantic dramas. Her roles would range from the girl next door type, to the sexy siren type. She also had a small part in the 1953 American romantic drama film, Act of Love, which starred Kirk Douglas. Hence, 1953 was a very busy year for Miss Bardot. In 1954, Brigitte Bardot had the leading roles in the Italian melodrama film, Concert of Intrigue, and in the French adventure film, Caroline and the Rebels. She played the part of a flirtatious student in the 1955 French drama film, School for Love. She also played a part in the 1955 British comedy film, Doctor at Sea. For the 1956 Italian historical comedy movie, Mio Figlio Nerone, Brigitte Bardot was asked by the director to appear as a blonde. Rather than wear a wig to hide her naturally brunette hair, she decided to dye her hair. She was so pleased with the results that she decided to retain the hair color. Also in 1956, Miss Bardot appeared in 4 other films, which would propel her to stardom. First up is the French musical film, Naughty Girl, where Bardot played a troublesome schoolgirl. Followed by the French comedy movies, Plucking the Daisy, and The Bride is Much Too Beautiful. However, her role in the French romantic drama film, And God Created Woman, catapulted Brigitte Bardot to international stardom. In the film, she played the part of an immoral teenager, in a respectable small-town setting. For the rest of the 1950s, Miss Bardot continued being popular, and playing in a number of successful films, including the 1958 French drama movie, In Case of Adversity, and the 1959 comedy film, Babette Goes to War, which was Miss Bardot's first movie since becoming a star, where she did not take off her clothes. By the early 1960s, she had become a much sought-after actress, widely appreciated for her natural beauty, and admired for her raw sexuality. At the peak of her career, Brigitte Bardot found herself unable to cope with the pressures of stardom, and often went into depression, and even became suicidal. She starred in the 1960 French courtroom drama film, The Truth, which was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Film. Despite her mental health issues, Miss Bardot continued appearing in films throughout the 1960s. Some of her best-known movies of the era include the 1962 French romantic drama film, Vie Privée, the 1963 French new wave drama movie, Le Mépris, the 1964 French-Italian Cold War comedy film, Un ravissant idiot, the 1965 Western adventure comedy film, Viva Maria. Miss Bardot was nominated for the BAFTA Award for Best Foreign Actress for her role in this film. The 1968 horror anthology film, Histoires Extraordinaires, which featured 3 Edgar Allan Poe stories. And the 1969 sex comedy, Les Femmes. In the 1968 British-German-American Western film, Shalako, Brigitte Bardot co-starred with Sean Connery. On the set of Shalako, she had rejected Sean Connery's advances, stating that, "I was not a James Bond girl. I have never succumbed to his charm." In the 1960s and 1970s, Brigitte Bardot also participated in several musical shows, and recorded more than 60 songs, many of which became popular. She often collaborated with the likes of Serge Gainsbourg, Bob Zagari and Sacha Distel in her musical career. During the early 1970s, when Brigitte Bardot was still in her 30s, she decided to retire from her acting career. After appearing in mostly French comedy movies, such as Les Novices in 1970, Boulevard du Rhum in 1971, and Les Pétroliers, also in 1971. She made her final appearance in the 1973 film, L'Histoire très bonne, et très joyeuse de Colonel Trousse Chemise. During post-production of the film, Miss Bardot announced her retirement from the entertainment industry. Following her retirement from the show business, she became an active animal rights activist, and established the Foundation for the Protection of Distressed Animals. Blessed with radiant beauty, poise and grace, Brigitte Bardot was the epitome of femininity, and gained a reputation for her free-flowing sensuality that made her famous, not just in France, but across the globe. Thank you for watching. Hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. We do like to know and hear your feedback. We also have merchandise available for purchase on our Teespring store. Link to our store is in the description section below. And, if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where we post bonus material. Till next time, this is the Peeping Loony, saying cheers, and have a good day.